Friday, October 27th, our Halloween edition. The good news is we don't have any tricks, just a couple of really good treats for you. So we'll start off with Chris showing some user profile work that's been done recently. So take it away, Chris.
Cool. All right, let me just find the right thing here. This is really. Can you see my my Habitat Builder UI? Is that what everybody's saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is just a quick thing that we added. We added accessible when to signed in users of Builder. You can now in the account menu hop over to a profile view, and there isn't too much here yet. All you can really do is provide your email address for us, and the reason for that is like you might want to be notified of new features. You might want to get notified when you're invited to an origin, or you have interesting build service activity, various things. None of that stuff is wired in yet. We really just kind of wanted to provide initial capability to tell us how you'd want to be notified if you do want to be notified. This is totally opt-in. It'll be pre-populated with your GitHub email address if you've chosen to share it, but you can change it here after the fact if you want. So it's just the beginnings of what you can imagine might grow into a more of a user preferences kind of place inside of the Builder UI. But that's all I got. Just that.
Yeah, that looks great. It'll be awesome to get that all hooked up. But yeah, excellent. Yeah. Okay, so next is Matt with some a demo of some new work with Windows.
Yeah, so it is the ability to run the Habitat Supervisor in the background as an actual Windows service. So, on Linux, you can certainly run Habitat, in systemd, for instance. In fact, that's how we run our Builder services in systemd. But there's really no, well, there is an equivalent in Windows. It's called the Service Control Manager, but it's a little bit more involved, hooking things up inside of there. So we bit off that work last week, so I'm going to show that. Let me share my screen. And oops, hold on. Click share. That's the key thing. And then we have to get this. Okay. All right. So right now I am remoted into a Windows 2008 R2 VM. So we figure, or I figure, if it works on 2008 R2, it'll work anywhere. And if you're on 2008 or XP, then I'm sorry. But and in fact, I've removed the .NET 4 runtime. So I really wanted to try and make sure it can run successfully on a legacy OS. So the way that we expose the service, there's actually nothing in that. I mean, we did have to make a couple changes to the HAB CLI, which we launched yesterday to, for example, be able to handle running Habitat under the system, the local system account. But to actually consume the service itself, what you're going to do is you're going to do a HAB package install. I've already done it here, but you're going to do a HAB package install of our core/Windows-service package. So you're going to pull that down, and then once you pull that down, that basically contains three key things. That contains the actual service runner itself, the binary that will be running the service, and it contains an installer and an uninstaller. So let's run the installer. So I'm going to run hab package exec. That's how you do this. So hab package exec, the package that we have that I just mentioned, the core/Windows-service, and then just install. So run that, and let me set up a bit. Okay, so there we go. So we have success. So it's successfully. So now, in theory, I should be able to say start service Habitat, and things should happen. So I'm going to do that. That service is called Habitat, and that's going to run now. I'm not going to see anything because it's a service. It's running in the background. But one thing that the service runner does is it redirects all the standard output, standard error to a file, a log file. And we have log rotation, all that up and running. Let's take a look at that file. So that file is going to be in HAB service, where other HAB services run. So HAB SVC Windows-service. in the logs habitat.log. This is all configurable too. I'll show that. But here's the log, and we actually have two services loaded. I have a MySQL service and an ASP.NET Core service. So now that that's running, here I'm gonna go to my browser. This is pointing to that Windows R2 machine that's running Habitat, and I should refresh this, and I should actually see an application. Once it refreshes, thank you Hangouts for making everything slower. But there we go. So here's our super fancy ASP.NET Core application, but it's running. So this is all running inside of that supervisor. It's running as a Windows service. So now I can stop my service, which of course you would never want to do, but just to show you that these things are possible, we actually can't. I mean, one might say Habitat is unstoppable, but alas, it really is. So we're going to stop it. And basically right now what it's doing is it's trying to stop the services gracefully. MySQL doesn't like to be stopped gracefully, so we have to wait and then give up and then actually kill it. And in fact, I can prove that to you. So let's look at that log again. If you notice at the bottom, we've got the Hostile Visa services, but it says here that was able to gracefully terminate ASP.NET. Not so much for MySQL. But anyway, so it stopped. So now let's say, for whatever reason, you don't want Habitat to run as a service anymore. So we do have an uninstaller. So I can uninstall this service. So I can go to, again, I can run a had package exec, but instead of install, it's going to be uninstall, actually. So I'm going to run this, and this is essentially going to do all the yanking from the Windows registry and all that. So now I should be able to type get service to get a listing of my services, and I should not see Habitat. Yep, it's gone. So like I said, you can configure the service. So once the service installed, there is some configurability. So basically, I can show you that real quick. That's basically it's an XML file. So the actual service runner is a .NET program. It's actually written C#. It's super simple. But here is its config file. So first, so we leverage Log4j for the logging, because it just they've already done all the work there. It's open source with a open Apache license, and they do a good job of log rotation. But if you want, so in here is the appender for Log4j. If you're familiar with Log4j or you want to become familiar, you check out their documentation. You can configure the rolling and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you could even change this actually to have it send messaging to the Windows event logs, which is pretty cool. But by default, it goes to this log/habitat.log. And then down here in the application settings, so we set debug to false. Typically, that's what you want. Basically, if things go wrong with the supervisor, and if you had to engage with a maintainer, we might set it to true to get more verbose logging. But here's a key thing. So launcher arg. So you might wonder, well, what if I want to connect this supervisor to another supervisor? Give it like a -- peer, like you wouldn't if you're just running it off the console. So essentially what we do here is you can put in any supervisor args here, and we're just going to forward these onto the supervisor when we start up. So whether that be peer or any other, if you want to run off of a different port and do the override port argument, any argument that the supervisor takes, you can put into here. And that's I think that's about everything. So this is all live. We'll be blogging about this either today or early next week, but this is actually consumable and runnable today. So that's that.
All right, that's awesome. It looks great. It looks like it's working. And I know it was a lot of work to get this up and running, so I'm sure it's going to be appreciated. I think that's all we have for today. So we'll end the demos now. Happy Halloween, everybody, and we will see you again next week. Bye.